Hi, I'm Steve. Welcome to Hound Steve English. In today's video lesson, we are studying Intermediate Book 1, Lesson 3. If you're not sure how to use these video lessons, let me remind you, you can watch these videos or listen to our audio for casual listening practice. If you're preparing for your English class, then use this video to practice the lesson once, twice, or 3 times before class. While watching these videos, make sure you pause during questions and answer periods to speak and write down your answers. If you have the lesson files, make sure you print it out so you can take notes and write down answers. If you're just watching the video, make sure you use a pencil and paper or a computer to write down answers. Today's lesson is called Are Left-Handed People Weird? Before we begin, let's take a look at the photo and have a discussion. If you're using your packet and you printed out the lesson, go ahead and write down on your packet everything you can see in the picture. If you are just using the video, make sure you use your notebook or a computer to write down everything. At this point, you should pause the video and for 2 minutes write down what you can see. Okay, in this picture I can see a woman's hands, I think, and I can see a gold ring on her left hand, so I guess that she is married. In her left hand she's holding a picture of 2 books standing against the wall, or maybe they're sitting on a bookshelf. One book is gray and one book is red, and they don't seem very nice. They seem like they're a little bit mean, maybe even evil, and they look like they are arguing or making some evil plan. In her right hand, she's holding a different picture. It looks like it's a picture of a cartoon. I'm not sure what type of cartoon or animation it is, but it almost looks like a Yogi Bear or some type of bear cartoon. This reminds me of my collection of superhero cards. I have a lot of sports cards at home for football teams and football players and baseball teams and baseball players, and I also have superhero cards. So the artwork on these looks like the Marvel series of superhero cards that I collected in the 1990s when I was a boy. Okay, here's our table topic. The table topic is just a short, fun conversation. So at this point, you should read the question and pause your video and try to write down your answer. Remember, you can write down your answer to prepare for your class, or if you're just studying here alone and you don't have a class, you can go to our YouTube video and leave a question or answer in the comments there, or go to our website and leave your question or comments there. Let's begin. Are you left or right-handed? What about your parents? Your siblings? Well, I'm right-handed. I think my father is right-handed, and I think my mother is right-handed. But my sister is left-handed, I think. So, that's that. I don't think many people in my family are left-handed. Now create one table topic of your own. We will discuss it in class. So, if you're going to class, this is a good chance to prepare some fun conversation questions for the students and the teacher. If you are just studying here, write down a fun question and leave it in the YouTube comments section or the comment section on our website. Hal or I or one of our students will answer you. Vocabulary. So here are new words for this unit. Some of them are easy, some of them are difficult. We want you to have fun conversations using all of these words, so make sure you use your words from the previous units as well as this unit in the discussion questions section. whenever you're having a discussion question, you should be looking at your vocabulary sheet and checking each word as you use it. During this course, you should try to use each word 20 times. Sinister. Sinister. Giving the impression that something harmful or evil is happening or will happen. The dark alley near my house is very sinister at night. Sinister, in my mind, is usually connected to the villains in superhero comic books. There's Mr. Sinister from the X-Men, and there's Sinestro from the Green Lantern comic books. Sinister is also connected, in my mind, to the antagonist in murder mystery books or plays. Usually the antagonist, the bad person, is someone very sinister. And for some reason, in my mind, sinister, more than harmful or evil, means that somebody is manipulating a situation or doing something evil when they seem to be doing something neutral. When they seem to be neutral or good, but they're actually evil. For some reason in my mind, that's the connotation, that's the connection I make to the word. Left-handed. Left-handed. Using the left hand more naturally than the right. Angelina Jolie and Barack Obama are left-handed. My sister is also left-handed. Left-handed also has a second meaning. Left-handed can also kind of mean sinister in a way. So, when we describe someone as being sinister or bad or a little off or a little strange, you can say, oh, it's a little bit left-handed. Superstition. Superstition. Outdated or old supernatural beliefs. Americans believe seeing a black cat is a bad sign, but that's just a superstition. What's a superstition in your culture? In American culture, we believe, or some people believe, that seeing black cats crossing a street is a sign of bad luck. I didn't grow up in a very superstitious household, so my parents weren't very superstitious, and so I don't know many superstitions. I know if you speak about something and you don't want it to occur, that you should knock on wood. I've also seen people who are afraid of something bad happening after they bring it up in conversation, throw salt behind their back. I think I saw that also in the movie. Maybe it was Dumb and Dumber. What superstitions are there in your culture? Stigma. Stigma. A mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person. In America, there's a social stigma attached to receiving welfare. Stigma. There are so many stigmas from the past that we don't consider to be stigmas anymore. For example, divorce. When people divorced 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, there was a very, very strong stigma against it, or attached to it. But now the stigma is much, much, much less severe. There was a stigma associated with people who moved abroad and returned home. But now there's much less of a stigma associated with that. A long, long time ago, there was a big stigma attached with marrying somebody from a different religion. So if a Christian person married a Jewish person, that was a big stigma. If a Protestant married a Catholic, that was a big stigma. But now, except in very, very conservative communities, it's not a very big stigma. Can you think of any stigmas from where you're from? Have you ever dealt with them? Has your family ever dealt with them? Affluent. Affluent. Especially of a group or area having a great deal of money, wealthy. Gangnam is a very affluent neighborhood in Seoul. Affluent. Donald Trump comes from a very affluent family, and many politicians come from very affluent families. Whenever you look at politicians or the people in government, you often find many of them have had very wealthy families for generations and lived in traditionally wealthy neighborhoods. Usually, we would describe that as being very affluent. In my mind, and I think for most people, there's a difference between rich, wealthy, and affluent. I believe affluent has a connotation of family and almost title. So, almost like royal families keep their money from generation to generation, and they keep a title of noble or royal from generation to generation. In America, or maybe in other countries where there aren't royal families, the term affluent brings to mind families. So an individual, I would often say, oh, he's a rich guy. He made a application, so he's very rich. But families, generations of families who have money, I would say are affluent. And the place where they live, I would call affluent. Now let's learn one useful idiom. To be in good or safe hands. To be in good hands. To be in safe hands. To be in a secure position. Your car is in good hands. My mechanics are experts. Whenever I babysit my nephew or niece, which is very rare, I hope my sister would think that they are in safe hands. Whenever my friend goes to the restroom at the cafe and he asks me to watch his laptop and his phone, I tell him, don't worry, they're in safe hands. You can really use this expression in so many different scenarios. You can use it in funny ways. For example, if you leave the room, or if you leave a table, or if you have to run somewhere and you leave some delicious snacks with your group of friends, or you leave some delicious whiskey with your group of friends, and you tell them, don't touch that. It's mine, don't touch it. Maybe they'll say, don't worry, they're in safe hands. And they actually won't touch it. Or maybe they're being sarcastic and they plan to eat or drink it all. There are many different ways you can use this. You can use it in very serious situations. If you need to suddenly leave your child with your friend, they'll tell you very sincerely, don't worry, they're in safe hands. Now let's begin our discussion questions. This is a good place to pause the video. Pause the video and write down your answers using the new vocabulary words that we learned. Let's begin. Do left-handed people have a social stigma? I think many years ago, left-handed people had a social stigma. I think the word sinister comes from the Latin word for left-handed or left, and dexter, comes from the word for right-handed. So, thousands of years ago, right-handed people had a positive connotation, and left-handed people had a negative social stigma. And it seems there's a nuance, there's a subtle part of our English language that continues to give left-handed people a negative social stigma and right-handed people a positive connotation. But I don't think it's very strong. I think there isn't really a very strong social stigma attached with left-handed people. What do you think? What's your perception of left-handed people? Well, I think in our generation, anything unique or anything very different is sometimes revered. It's sometimes sought after. It's an advantage or a positive attribute. It's not very negative. So we often see on social media, for example, videos about famous left-handed people. Left-handed people are often said to be more creative. There are many famous left-handed geniuses. So when I think of left-handed people, I think of people with high self-esteem. I think of people who are very smart and have achieved a lot in their lives. Do you know any left-handed people? Your mother, father, children? Yes, my sister is left-handed, I think. But no, besides my sister, I don't know any left-handed people. Some people are superstitious about left-handed people. What are you superstitious about? Well, I'm a little bit superstitious about speaking about things I want to pass, or things I want to happen, and things I don't want to happen. So if I have a desire for something to happen, or a desire for something to not happen, and I say it out loud, I become very worried. Especially because my job is very stressful, and I don't understand often why my customers join or why my customers quit. So if I speak about my business goals at our academies, and I set goals there, I get very worried when I speak about our goals and our obstacles. So I often knock on wood. And I think I said earlier, but knocking on wood is a way to ward off, to protect yourself, to defend yourself, to ward off evil spirits and evil in general. So I am superstitious about that. What are common superstitions in your culture? Well, that's very difficult. In American culture, I think a black cat crossing the street is a type of negative superstition. But as you know, the United States is very diverse, so even when somebody's American, ethnically they might be composed of many different ethnicities. They might also have many different religions in their family. So for me, I come from a Latin and Hispanic and Jewish background, and even then I can't think of many superstitions, just because my family has never been superstitious. But I remember my grandma often worrying about small things, and often worrying about little issues in the house that seemed to be superstitious. I should have asked her about it more often, why she was worried or why she was saying those things, but I didn't. I'll try and figure out why for the next video. Okay, make sure you write down your answers, and if you're going to class or you're meeting a language partner, you can use that for preparation. You can use these answers to prepare for speaking with them. If you're not going to a class, if you're only using these videos, make sure you go to houndstevenglish.com or you go to the YouTube video and leave your answers in the comments. Don't be shy. This is why you're here. You're here to learn English. There's no point in only doing half of the work. Make sure you do it all. Hal or I or one of our students will make sure to respond to you. Okay, thank you for tuning in. You can go to houndstevenglish.com to get this lesson PDF, to check out our other lessons and other cool printables. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get more video lessons like this. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.